Hello all and welcome to a new video on our YouTube channel, The Third Man Musings. Well, what an incredible second week of IPL it's been. Such close finishes, everybody holding their heart in the last over. In one particular match, that 29 runs were scored in the last over. So incredible finishes, and what an exciting IPL this is turning out to be. Sumit, what is your perspective of on this week of IPL? Incredible week, right? I mean, such high octane action.
Yes, Sujay. So it just shows the IPL this season might actually be so close. Every year you talk about how the teams appear close, but they don't really seem so close. At by the end, when you look at the points table, this year I think Delhi Capital seems a bit far off, but all the other nine teams look they look very good together. I mean, it's going to be a lot of competition, and it's difficult to capture everything because so many matches happen in a week. So our uh, musings for this week is going to be up till the match of RCB on Saturday that was played, and we'll just go with the format of discussing each teams and just the two potential strengths we saw and two possible areas of improvement and how things can change for them. So we'll go ahead with that format. So again, it'll be a two-part series. We'll cover five teams today. We'll cover five teams in the next video. So let's start with our favorite team, Sujay's home team, RCB. So I think the positives are fairly obvious. Let's start with those, Sujay.
Yeah. So RCB has been a mixed bag, right? So four games so far, two victories, two losses. The positive, obviously, as Sumit said, are very blatant, right? Faf and Kohli looking great up front, right? One of the best opening pairs in the IPL, I guess. And Virat Kohli, so good to see him, play like the old
King
Virat
Kohli.
Kohli. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's attacking up front. He's hitting all bowlers in the power play, looking very positive. Last year, I think we saw him get into a rut, but this time he's ultra positive from the first over. And Faf also, initially, he does take some time to get going, but I think once he settles down, he then scores big. So that is a big positive. Maxwell, again, after that injury, weren't exactly sure how he would turn up, but again, he's. Taking on the spinners. One particular game he hit 59 of 29 balls. Even in the game against DC, he scored a quick fire 25. So things are looking good from the top three perspective. And in the bowling, Siraj is breathing fire, right? With that new ball, he's been that differentiator for RCB. And really impressed by Vaishak yesterday in the game
Mm.
against DC. Bowling upwards of 135, 140, has a good cutter also around 120 kilometers. So he can fool the batsman with that difference in pace. But the good thing is he bows his stock balls, the balls which are faster up front, and then brings in the cutter. So those are the good parts. Sumit, there are glaring deficiencies in this side.
Yes.
Let's be honest about it, which can be an obstruction in the playoffs. What are they according to you?
So glaring one we discussed in the last episode as well is the lack of pure batsmen. So once Faf and Virat go, and if they go depart early, you're actually left with Maxwell, who is supposed to be the most reliable batsman, which is a very scary prospect for any team. And yesterday's match was very strange on multiple levels because again Herschel came at five to extend the batting lineup for some reason, and DK has suddenly lost form. Doesn't look the old DK. Maybe because there's no motivation this year. I guess last year it was about making it into the World Cup squad. So this year he's struggling with his keeping as well and his batting. And Anuj Rawat then came as the impact player when you had Hasaranga and Pandil in the heart. So they should have been given a go. And if they had failed, then obviously get in a batsman to get more runs. But that move would have cost them. The lucky thing is they were playing Delhi Capitals, who are like the worst team in the IPL. So they escaped yesterday. But I don't think it'll happen every time. And the impact player needs to be used more smartly by them because yesterday they lost a bowler and Anuj played a very slow innings coming at seven. So that's one glaring thing, and the other is the death bowling, which I think has been RCB's Achilles heel from the beginning of time. Now Harshal Patel again gave away unnecessary 20 runs against Nokia, I believe, in the last over. So again the net run rate could not be used up by RCB for the playoffs. So the death bowling will be a concern. Siraj can't bowl everywhere. He needs to bowl 8 overs in this side to make the bowling look good. So the, the muddled team management thinking. I don't understand the batting in terms of why are you sending Harshal at five? Why you're not trying somebody like a Prabhu Desai who looked decent last year? And what is this fascination with Rawat, who was an opener, but now you're playing him at seven? So doesn't make sense to me. You can think of any logic? Why?
I don't know. And even if you remember last season, I think Rawat and Akash they both got an extended run in the first 5 6 games,
Mm.
and by the time they were removed, the damage was done. Right. So this year, I don't know what they have seen in. At least Akashdeep is now out of the team, thankfully.
He'll come
But
back.
Anuj Rawat, I don't know. 14 of 21 balls, he just killed all the momentum. Shaba still tried his best. I think
They
he was
tried.
able to get one or two boundaries. But yesterday, and I don't know why RCB don't fancy Hasaranga the batter, right? He does so well for Sri Lanka as a finisher. Yesterday, he didn't even get a ball. Parner does the finishing job for South Africa in T20s. He didn't get a bat. So it was really flummoxing. Even the captaincy hasn't been that great from Fraf, right? I think we did
Mm-hmm.
speak. He somehow doesn't keep a long off. And, batsmen nowadays go straight down the ground. And I don't know what they're trying to do saving that single at mid off, right? So it's bewildering. The team is there. As an RCB fan, I would still say we have the team on paper, but if the execution and the team management makes decisions like this, it's going to be hard making it to the playoffs. I'll be very
Yeah.
objective about
And yesterday, yeah, they got lucky. I really think Delhi
it. Yeah.
Capitals blew it. It was a perfect chance to get a win for them also, and they should have cap, cap the capitulation that RCB did with their
Yeah.
batting and decision making. They should have made use of it. So yeah, let's see if other teams can. And next match is ironically going to be CSK, so that's going to be a
Yeah.
test. And CSK won't let go of these mistakes.
Right.
So coming to CSK, I think that's a good segue because yeah, we were going to discuss CSK as well, and their resurgence again has been how old players join and they suddenly come alive. So Dhoni's batting looks brilliant this year. I mean, we keep discussing how he's playing as a specialist captain and keeper, but this year his batting has really improved. Something he does in his farmhouse, which I don't understand, which makes him a better batter. So very good to see him finishing like old Dhoni. Sadly, he could not in the last game, thanks to Sandeep Sharma's very good bowling. But otherwise, very good. Like they have very good finishing players with Jadeja and Dhoni. One thing which bemuses me how they had 11 batsmen at one point and now they have seven. So they need to work on that. So any other positive you can see besides
Rahane,
chemistry?
right?
Oh
Rahane was the biggest one. I mean, that 61 of 27 balls, nobody expected it, right? But the
fastest
but the
50
way
that
he
time.
came, and I saw a bite from his after the match where he said that he went up to Dhoni and asked that what was the role that Dhoni was looking forward to from him,
Mm,
and Dhoni seems said just play your natural game, right? Because you are an experienced batsman and we look forward to your contribution. So that way, I think
mm.
Dhoni gave him that confidence, and Rahane is smoking it. 2 games, he's played really well.
And
And
timing, not
Conway,
power.
timing, good shots. And Conway also, we had even covered him in our preview videos. He's very underrated, but very effective. So him coming back into the mix, and then Dubey and Raidu also are doing
Oh,
their job in the middle order, right? So that batting looks really sorted,
very good.
really sorted.
I think Raidu, when he asked Dhoni what is the expectation, I think Dhoni would have asked him, right, what is your age? And Raidu said 35 plus, sir. And he's like, that's your role. If you're 35 and you're in CSK, you will do well. Because even Raidu revived his career here only, and he's pretty old. So the youngsters are struggling in this team. Only Ruturaj seems apart, and he's the future captain as well. So batting is sorted. I think Stokes seems to be a miss for this season because anyways he's not going to be around for knockouts. And I think he's one player I would keep for every knockout, not in league stage, but if it's a knockout, you put Ben Stokes in because he'll get the job done. So maybe he's not part of the plans, I feel. With Rahane's emergence, suddenly we have like a very good three, and Dhoni needs the two foreign bowlers to cover up the weak bowling lineup. So what that has done is actually weakened the batting. So he needs to find a solution how to do that. But one exclusion, I mean, in terms of areas of improvement, I was thinking was Hungrekar because he bowled brilliantly in the last few games in the death, and suddenly he's not in the contention, and it's not an injury because he's in the impact player list. So any idea why
Correct.
the
That's
preference for?
very bewildering, right? Because
Mm,
what we've seen now is Dhoni is consistently back Tushar Deshpande,
hmm,
and credit to him. I think last 2 games he's done well. He's
he's good.
bowled the tough overs, but still, reined in the opposition. But Hungerkekar, I think first 2 games he was so impressed by his pace, right? And he bowled so well at the death. So that's a big shocker. I think we would have
And he
actually
bats.
anticipated. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we would have
Uh,
anticipated that he would have got the go
Not
ahead.
ahead
So
of Deshpande. Yeah.
yeah, so I
Uh,
we think he needs to make a comeback for sure because we saw Akash played the previous game. I think they
That's
wanted to bring in that left armor variety, but he got tonked for 40 plus runs in four
mm,
overs. Nothing great in his
correct.
bowling. So that is
Mm,
one. And the other point I wanted to discuss was Santner, right? All
mm,
four
mm,
games, Santner did really well with the ball. Not even one game he got hit, right? But obviously, Tikshana comes in as the mystery bowler, but he did get hit. So if Tikshana continues to leak runs, then will they bring
mm.
Santner back? That is something we'll have to see.
They definitely should because he gives you that batting aspect as well. At least he stretches to eight. So I hope CSK and they look good. Again, they're doing their job right, winning every second game and not having a losing streak, and they'll be a handful in their home stadium. So uh, again, like we said, top four looks fairly easy for them. Unless some with Rahane's addition suddenly changes everything as per me because they have an extra batsman out of the blue, an Indian batter at that, right? So they can play around with the bowlers and figure out the bowling combination because Mangala hasn't been that good.
Yeah, not
Pretorius was
impressed.
very
Yeah.
good in that one
Mhm.
game he played, right? Plus he bats again. So
Correct.
there are two. You have Hungergaker, you have Pretorius, and you have Sandner. Three bowler plus batsmen. So Dhoni might go back to them. One
Correct.
thing I can see as areas where they can look get better is usage of Jaddu as a batsman because he's
Hmm.
a class batsman. Maybe I mean this obsession with Dubey I don't get. We call him Lance Klusener because he bats left-handed, bowls right-arm seam. He doesn't bowl anymore, by the way. He's a specialist batsman, so he is good for tonking and playing those kulhari shots, as we say, just stand and hit them all over the park. But on slow pitches where it's turning and you need to take the singles, make a game, singles, doubles, and then hit it out of the he really struggles with that. So, uh, but he clearly there's some favoritism here where he looks the part. And he's going to be good on those batting duties. I totally agree. But where in your home games in Chepok, he is going to struggle. So let's see if Jadu gets that spot and then you open up a slot in the lower order. So I think CSK look good for me. Next
Yeah.
one we can discuss is Lucknow. So I think we'll discuss the last game, which was the best one. It was RCB versus Lucknow, and Maxwell and Faf really played brilliantly, 200 plus, and we were like, okay, this looks difficult. And I think Rahul was playing for RCB that day, and he scored 18 or 20. He was anchoring the innings so well, and everything looked good. And then Kohli made the biggest mistake. He caught his catch, and that changed the match. So I think that's where the strengths came. Stoinis was brilliant. I think Stoinis was playing for his place that day because they were waiting. Quinton de Kock needs to come in, but they don't know how to get him in, right? So the way Stoinis played, my God, I mean, initially he was slow, and then the brute strength and the muscle man that he is. I think when did you start getting scared in that match?
So in that match, I remember at the time of the bowling timeout, which was 8 overs,
Hmm.
LSG needed 113 12 overs.
Yeah.
And my dad and I were watching the match, and dad was like, "No, this is the crucial partnership. Stoinis needs to go." I was like, Let's be positive, dad. 113 12 overs. They've lost wickets up front. You remember they were 30 for 3 in that match,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, they
So
were
let's
like
be
down and out.
positive. But
Uh,
after the timeout, Stoinis just flipped a switch, right? And he went crazy all over. And then luckily his wicket fell. And then Pooran came in, and this guy, I mean, we'll be
second ball,
candid enough to admit we didn't
uh,
believe this guy could do
we had
anything.
out.
He is proved us wrong, and all his detractors wrong big time, right? I mean, that 16 ball 50 was amazing. He timed everything. The bowlers
Everything.
dished out everything they could to him, short, slow, Yorker, everything they tried, but he just cleared the boundaries. And it was his wicket which brought RCB back into the game, right? So
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
a lot of
Possible.
dependence, I think, on the foreign players, right? And
Foreign
that has
players.
been a resurgent theme with LSG, that their foreign players are being their backbone, whether it be Myers, whether it be Pooran, Stoinis, Mark Wood. They are doing
Hmm.
the job for them. But Sumit, for me, their concern is the Indian batting failing, right? Because Rahul
Hmm.
again is playing very slow. Deepak Huda is playing single figures. Krunal Pandya, I don't know what he's doing at four and getting out to the moving ball. Your thoughts on that?
I think the theory is that Rahul is having calls with Babar Azam, and they have this club where you score your runs and keep your place in the team because Rahul is struggling from everywhere, right? Everybody wants him dropped from everywhere, but LSG obviously is untouchable in that sense that he will play as a captain. He's just scoring the runs without that intensity and intent of scoring them. So even that 18 or 20, he caused the game to Lucknow, and they were lucky to escape that. So he really needs a kick up his backside. I really believe Gambhir needs to, whatever he talked to Pooran, he needs to tell Rahul as well that please, you need to see how Pooran was doing and now see how he's doing. So Rahul for me needs to step up, and yeah, Huda, Pandya at four. I have no idea what talent they see. I mean, Gambhir might be overstretching his limitations, right? In the sense, Pooran bhi khelega, Rahul bhi khelega, Pandya four pe khele. Pandya played at four hardly for Mumbai when they had. I don't think he ever played
He
at four, right?
plays six,
Maximum
I
five.
think. Six or five
Five,
at
six,
times.
seven ka
Six.
access tha.
Yeah,
हाँ.
yeah, but not
So
above that.
five very rarely if they wanted a lefty in, to tonk those left armor matchup mein.
Correct.
So Badoni looks so good at seven, and he won the game very easily for them, unless that hit wicket six which happened on the sweep.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that match was done. So
Yeah.
he is in fact a player you give a chance at four if you really want to play somebody at four and develop the talent, because he has the talent. He has the singles doubles game. He has the power game. So give him the push and let Pandya be at seven. Right, you help the Indian cricket team also by promoting such a talent. So I think they need to use it better. And one more person which like just bemuses me is Gotham. I mean, CSK bought him for 7 or 8 crores, right, in one auction, and didn't
Yeah.
play him the entire season. I think Dhoni, that was Dhoni's masterstroke that season. कि मैं खिलाऊंगा नहीं इसको, हार जाएंगे. But Amit Mishra, whenever he's bowled, and that lone wicket he took off Kohli in that RCB match, it was Amit Mishra. So Amit Mishra and Bishnoi combination would be lethal on any pitch. So he needs to give Mishra the impact player role than Gotham, and Gotham just comes in because he bats, but he just tonks the ball, and he didn't. He's I think tonked 1-6, but after that he struggled left, right, center. So they need to use the impact player better for Gotham. I mean, they use Badoni as a batter, that's good, but whenever they need a bowler, I think they need to give Mishra a go than Gotham. So yeah, anything else you can
Right.
see with LG?
No, and what I like about one thing that is
Mm,
going well for LSG is now LSG in that Lucknow ground, it's a bit sluggish, right?
mm,
It's dry, it's taking turns. So they have Bishnoi who's doing very well. I mean, we know we have been telling about his
googly googly.
preference for those googlies, but he's doing well. Nobody's able to hit him. So
Uh,
Bishnoi, Krunal, and Amit Mishra is proving to be a
Pretty good.
potent trio at Lucknow. So in those
Mm,
7 games, they try to take out a lot of victories there with that lethal trio. So LSG have a lot of things going for them. Just that that Indian batting has to improve, and yeah, I think the foreign players will need to be consistent. One question for them is till what point do they back Myers? Because I'm sure that temptation to bring in Decock will come in at some point,
yes.
especially near the knockout stages, right?
That is the only slot, sadly. So the poor guy is also going to play under pressure entire tournament now, because Stoinis and Pooran have sealed their spot. Wood is a bowler, so you only have one slot. So let's see how that one pans out. And coming to one of the surprises of IPL is Punjab. So they are doing the Punjab things, but in a different way. This is a bowling team now and not a batting team, which is very fascinating. And I really enjoy the bowling. The kind of bowlers they have with the Rabata, Arshdeep, Karan. Then you have a spinners of Cheher and Harpreet. They add in a bit of Raza. So good variety of bowling. And I think one thing we should talk about is Dhawan's innings, that 99, which deserved a century any
Impeccable
day.
innings, yeah.
Impeccable. And he just carried it for 15 overs till the last over, batted alone. And on current form, if you put him against Rohit, it's very obvious who's the better batter. But sadly, I think he will be missing out on a World Cup spot. Maybe as a backup opener, he plays. I think he deserves that at least. But he cannot beat Gill on current form, but he can definitely beat Rohit. But because of captaincy, I think this guy loses out. But pure like genius innings, and for somebody you don't see as a T20 outright T20 player. So I was very very happy to see that innings, and also like surprised that okay, very
Especially
good
those
finish.
last 5 overs, right? Because if you remember, they were 9 down in that
Nine
game.
wickets.
He was 65 not out when the last guy walked in, and he, shepherded the innings till he reached 99 not out. So,
Mm,
last 5 overs, breathtaking batting, really impressive.
yeah.
Hats off to Shikhar Dhawan, seriously.
And then SRK's resurgence. So
Yeah.
I think he saw Pathan and he said, okay, if one SRK can do it, the second SRK can also do it. So very good innings. He's finishing it off now. He looks better. I still feel he can go up a number or two just to give him more time, because he's a beast. I mean, he's like our answer to Pollard in a way, the structure and the way he bats. So I hope he does better. And yeah, and then Sam Curran's death bowling has been a revelation. So I don't know where he learned that skill set suddenly out of the blue, because his pace is also not like one of the like high 140, it's 130ish. But yeah, starting with CSK and now for England, he's one of the best death bowlers in the world. So clearly justifying his price tag. Won them a match last week as well. His batting needs to be better, but it's a joy to see him and Archie bowling at the end. And Matthew Short has been a pleasant surprise, a very stand and deliver type of batsman, something like Chris Lynn, who had success for the initial seasons. So the batting is working like somehow with these small additions left, right, center around Dhawan, but the bowling is holding them together, and that's why they are still in the reckoning for top four and not fallen off like typical Punjab. So the positives are good, and we didn't foresee those in our predictions when we were reviewing Punjab. So coming to the weaknesses, yeah, I think batting is the obvious one, right?
Batting, yeah, because I think somehow Jitesh is now not making runs.
Mm,
Prabhsimran, after such an impressive start, is getting found out, right? So
mm,
he's flopping. Plus, Raza again, is a bit inconsistent. So that batting is very dependent on Dhawan, Karan,
Dhawan.
and Shah Rukh Khan, and that could be a factor going forward. Plus, another thing I see is the overseas pacer, which is either your
Rabada.
Elliot or Rabada. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
that particular overseas pacer is going for runs as well. While the overall bowling is doing well, Cheher and Harpreet Brar
Harpreet.
and Karan and Harshdeep as we spoke, but that overseas pacer is getting hit. So those are a couple of areas they'll have to address going forward as we go in towards the playoff stage.
And the good news for them is Livingston is in India now. He just suffered, I think, an injury in the nets, so he should be available very soon. So he should come in place of that fourth slot, like which is being occupied by Rajapaksha or Raza. Then you have Matthew Short and Livingston, which bolsters the middle order. Jitesh needs to stand up. You have Shah Rukh Khan, you have Karan. So it might work out if Livingston comes in. He's like the last piece of the puzzle, and if he performs,
Hmm.
not even to that extent which he did last season, even to 80% of that, I think this team will do well because the bowling is going to help them out a lot of times.
Correct.
So
Correct.
I don't see any weaknesses like in terms of uh,
They're a good, well-rounded team. Just that
huh,
they need to fine tune a little bit here and there.
yes, and just don't do Punjab things. I guess by the end of it, they might lose two games on the trot. Then just don't go berserk like you do, and stick to the combination. But this is a good combination, and this team should be entertaining to watch as we proceed. And jumping from one entertaining team to another team, which is entertaining for all the wrong reasons, it's Delhi Capitals. Positives, when we were thinking about this team, and we were like, "What is the positive?" And you could just think of Akshar, 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 and it's like this guy somehow people have just said this is a number seven. He is a good finisher. He's a proper batsman now, I think. More than a bowler, he's a batsman. And he needs to be given that respect and just, put in the top four somehow. Because he's going to shepherd the innings and give you the impetus. So he's the only positive. And Manish Pandey having a resurgence, a mini resurgence. I won't say a full blown resurgence like Rahane did. But he's at least getting the runs and he's an Indian batter. So something might work out for him over time. Any other positive? I think bowling, some aspects, right?
Bowling, yeah, some aspect. Norkia is
Mm,
doing very well in the
very
depth,
well.
right? I think he missed the first couple of games, but then he's come back and he's really notched it up. In the death overs. Hats off to him. Kuldeep has been consistent as well. Even in the
Good.
RCB game yesterday, he turned the game on its head
Mm-hmm.
suddenly with those couple of wickets
That's
in
two
two
wickets.
balls, right? So Norkia and Kuldeep are good 8 overs, but now they'll have to figure out the rest of the 12 overs, right? Because they're really struggling. They're going in for a little bit of off spin from Lalit Yadav,
Lalit
but I think
Yadav.
the big problem for them has been Khalil and Sakaria have got hit. Right, so they're
Mm.
struggling there, and then even their other bowlers are really not coming to the fore. I think Mustafizur also didn't work out. Right, both games has been really expensive. I remember 40 runs in 3 overs in one game. I think
Mm-hmm.
Mukesh Kumar could be a good addition there because he's been amongst the wickets. I know once or twice he did get hit, but he's a promising Indian bowler. So I think
Mm.
Mukesh for Mustafizur, and I don't know, they'll have to bring Russo into the mix because Warner and Pandya are getting runs, but not at an alarming
Very
pace.
strong.
And Warner is
Mm,
batting at a strike rate of 110, 120, which just doesn't make the cut, right? Even when he's getting 50s, he's getting it off 45 balls. He's getting 65 off like 50, 55 balls. So they'll have to bring in Russo. The problem for them is Marsh and Powell are also struggling, right? So lot of things that DC will have to work out on.
definitely. I think they just need to start from the basics that the team is not making runs. And how will they make runs? Even though they have a lot of Indian batters, but none of them are performing, they need to give Yasdul a longer run simply because of the potential aspect. And Warner needs to be more selfless and like try to bat like the old Warner. And Marsh hasn't really worked out for them despite the success he had when he came to India. So the batting, as you mentioned, for Mustafizur, it's not working out. They cannot play two foreign bowlers. They cannot afford to play two foreign bowlers. They need to improve the batting first and then go for the bowling aspect. So as I would totally agree with that. Get Mukesh Kumar in, an Indian bowler, and how much more can he get hit than Mustafizur, right? So at least you can get a Riley Russo or a Powell in. Even my vote goes to Russo because he's a very good batter. Just that he's not been able to bat at his position in the current setup. Give him his number three, and you will see the magic in some matches for sure. That would be our thought process in terms of what DC can do. But it's very tough now. It's a lot of games lost. Now it's all about very soon it'll be a talk about next season, like developing talent for next season. Then all these youngsters need to be given a go. I really don't see them making a comeback with the environment they have, and the captain is not performing. I think that's the worst part.
Correct, correct.
And
And
dropping him would.
Shaw and Sarfaraz also, they had
Oh
so many
yeah.
hopes, right? I mean, now Sarfaraz is not even in the team. They're giving Porel a go because obviously Porel is more athletic as a keeper. He can go for those
Hmm,
high catches and all that, right? Which keepers generally get. So maybe back Sarfaraz. I think that is one way.
correct.
But both are struggling against pace bowling. That is an issue.
So yeah, one team yeah which seems out of it for us, and yeah, let's see the balance nine teams fighting it out. So yeah, that was pretty much it from our side. This is like part one of week two musings, and we'll come back with part two very soon. We will discuss the balance five teams and how we think what are the improvements and that can be made, and what are the key highlights for these teams in this week. So that's a wrap from us. So have a nice day. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
take care. And do send in your thoughts for this first video and look forward to a second video. Do like, share, comment, and subscribe to the third menu things. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.